know that if you have a question, we do have microphones on either side. Mike on the right, on my right over here, and Kyle on my left. And before we start with questions, I know Sam wants to begin with some opening remarks, so I'll let you do that.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Good morning. I just wanted to start off by a few quick acknowledgments. I think it's appropriate after 162-game season. First, I want to just thank our fans. It was certainly not the season that we had hoped for. 84 wins was not the goal coming into 2019, but the way the season finished yesterday was just a reminder of how fortunate we are. The energy in the ballpark on the last game of the year, Mookie sliding across home plate, and the excitement in the place was just a reminder of how fortunate we are. This is our 18th year here, and we never, ever take our fans for granted. So I want to say thank you to them, and we're looking forward to 2020. We're starting right now on next year. The second thank you is just a quick thanks to all my teammates in the front office, on the field, off the field, the full-time men and women that work at the Red Sox, all the day-of-game employees, the ushers, the ticket takers, the grounds crew, everyone who works really hard day in and day out to put on a great show for our fans. And really do want to thank the players because they battled till the end. While it was disappointing, finishing the season the way we did, I think is a good sign, and that there was no quit in this team. While there was disappointment, ultimately, these guys hung in there to the end, and that's a credit to Alex Cora and his staff. These guys played for him all year long. And finally, a quick shout out to some specific people in the front office. First, Charlie Salucci. That's probably a name that many of you don't know, but Charlie worked here for 16 years as our head of security and emergency services after a decorated career in the Boston Police Department. Charlie has stepped down from that position. He's been replaced by Colin Lydon, and Charlie's going to remain an advisor to us, but we're so grateful to him. John, Tom, and I expressed our thanks to Charlie for all he did to keep Fenway safe through not only baseball season after baseball season, World Series games, and Winter Classics, and football games, and he just did a tremendous job, and we'll be forever grateful to Charlie, and we wish him well and his entire family well. And then the last thank you is to the great leadership team of our baseball operations department. Obviously, we've gone through a transition. It's been a couple weeks, and to reiterate what John and Tom told you guys on Friday, Raquel, BOH, Eddie, and Zach have done a great job, which is no surprise to me, given that we've all been here together since 2002. Eddie joined us 2006, but the rest of us have been here since the beginning of the Henry Werner ownership, and these guys have done a great job pulling together. They've got great rapport, and they're taking action. They're not waiting for a general manager or a president of baseball ops. They've done some restructuring. They've had some promotions. They've begun work on the strategic plan for 2020 and beyond. So I'm grateful to them for their leadership during a transition period, which is always hard in any organization or business. So I just wanted to thank them. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions that you guys have.
Great, thank you, Sam. A reminder, mics are on the right and left. If you have questions, raise your hand, please. Start with Sean, right on the right.
Sam, will you be in charge of essentially conducting the GM/president of baseball ops search? How quickly will that start? What can you tell us about the process? Have you reached out to teams for permission? Just a general overlook.
Yes, CEO of the organization, I'll be in charge of, I would say, the day-to-day of the search. Ultimately, John, Tom, and I are engaged in a search, and we'll work together on it in the coming days and weeks ahead. And where we are is early days. We've had an opportunity to do a lot of due diligence. We made the decision to move away from Dave early, as you know, earlier in September, which we thought was the right thing for Dave once we'd made that decision, but also the right thing for the Red Sox. Gave us an opportunity to get a head start on the thinking and the research that we wanted to conduct, and helped us establish clear-cut roles and responsibilities for the current leaders of the baseball ops team. So, yeah, we're engaged, and it is still early days, but the search is underway.
Hey, Sam. The Rays, Yankees, Astros, and Dodgers arguably have the four most robust analytics departments in all of baseball. And all four of those teams are going to the postseason. Two are in your division. Is this an area that you feel your team needs to grow and improve? And related to that, is there an expectation that the new general manager strongly emphasizes analytics?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the teams that you mentioned have done a great job, and we congratulate them on qualifying for postseason play. But I will remind you that may not feel like it at this very moment, but we are the reigning World Series champions, and our analytics group is incredibly strong. Zach Scott has been a colleague of mine for nearly 18 years, one of the brightest and best analytical minds in all of baseball, has built out a great department. Can we improve in that area? Yes, we can improve in every area of our operation. And to your second question, will that be part of the new general manager or president of baseball ops, whatever the structure may ultimately look like? Yes, analytics are a hugely important part of the Red Sox baseball operation and our business operation, frankly. We use data and analytics in every decision we make that affects the Red Sox and, frankly, Fenway Sports Group as a whole. So it's a huge part of the way we operate the different businesses that we're in.
Sam, when you guys do hire somebody, is the expectation that that person would report to you?
I think the best structure for a sports organization is to ensure that the president, CEO, has a seat at the table, has a voice in baseball operations or hockey operations or football operations, and can work collaboratively with the general manager or president of baseball ops. That's the way it's worked here since 2002. Theo and Larry worked closely together. Ben and Larry worked closely together. Dave and I work closely together. But I don't think it's appropriate for a president or CEO to make player personnel or evaluation or judgments. But I have a very important voice in baseball operations because I'm accountable for the operations of the club. And there's a lot of financial decisions that go into the construction and operation of a baseball department. So we work very, very closely together. I'm a member of the ownership group, and so John, Tom, and I ultimately empower the general manager to make those decisions. So I see my role continuing as it has been over the last 4 years since I've been in the president and now CEO role.
Okay, so will that person report to you?
They'll likely report directly to ownership, to John and Tom, and so I see it as a partnership. But we'll see how that plays out in terms of the structure. We're going into this with a very open mind in terms of how the role may be defined and what the ultimate final structure may be. Baseball has changed dramatically, as you guys know better than anybody, over the last 5 years even, and it's just a huge job, and there's so many aspects to running a baseball operations department. So we're studying different structures within different organizations. We're looking at different people, but ultimately player recommendations and player evaluations will rise to the level of ownership, and I have a seat at that ownership table, but I would anticipate a direct line of report to John and Tom to continue, given that there's such a huge financial impact and the magnitude of those decisions get up to the ownership level. John and Tom have been here for 18 years, and we see our role collectively as providing the resources necessary to the baseball department and the other areas of the organization to operate effectively.
Do you think you would have either a president of baseball operations or a general manager, or could you hire a president of baseball operations and name a general manager too?
It's a great question. We could go in any number of directions. Teams have had, I believe, in the past, multiple general managers along with the president of baseball operations. There's a chief baseball officer role out there in the big leagues today. So part of our job in ownership is to examine what fits best with us. And the good news for Boston Red Sox fans is, given Eddie and Raquel and Zach and BOH and their experience and their talents, which are many, we have the luxury of time to examine what will work best for us and be most strategic as we go forward.
Sam, there's a lot of talk Friday about getting the payroll down below the CBT and what that'll mean as far as 2020 goes. Is that, in ways, the starting point of a conversation with a candidate, the vision that that person will have to be able to remain competitive while getting that payroll down?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question, and I'm really glad that John and Tom clarified or attempted to clarify what they said on Friday. The CBT is always a guidepost in our budgeting. As we build our financial plans for the following season, we use CBT as one guidepost. It's something we consider. John and Tom have shown a willingness. I believe in the past 17 years, we've been over that CBT threshold 10 times, and we will continue to demonstrate a willingness to go over. That said, John made it clear that there is a goal to try and get under the CBT in 2020. But he also said, and Tom followed up and clarified, that is a goal but not a mandate. So we, in fact, spent some time over the weekend talking as a group with the baseball ops transition team about different scenarios where you could see the possibility, if there are strategic decisions that would cause us to go over, that could be a possibility. We could be under. There are lots of decisions, as you guys know, facing the Red Sox this offseason. So it is a goal, but it is not a hard and fast mandate.
Alex said yesterday you guys had all been talking about coaching staff and their roles and whether or not everyone would be returning. Have you made any decisions on that front, or when you expect to?
No final decisions on coaching staff. Those will be discussed by the baseball operations group and Alex in the coming days.
Hi, Sam. You had the highest payroll in baseball this year. You didn't make the playoffs. It's a goal, to use your word, to reduce payroll in 2020. How does all that correlate with ticket prices for next season?
It's a good question. We've taken a pretty consistent approach to ticket pricing the last 4 or 5 years, low single-digit sort of cost of living, inflationary increases. We haven't made a decision this year for 2020, but I would anticipate another modest increase.
We talked to J.D. Martinez about his opt-out yesterday, and obviously that's kind of a big storyline in the next few weeks. Do you guys have any feel on which way he's leaning?
You know, I don't. I gave JD a big hug yesterday after the game. Thanked him for another great year. It's a long grind, and while we were all disappointed, it was nice to have the opportunity to see him post game. We hope that JD's here, and we'll have discussions, and He's got certain rights that he bargained for under his contract, so we're all well aware of those, and we'll see where that takes us. But you want J.D. Martinez in the middle of your lineup, and he's a world champion and was a key part of last year's success. So we'll see where it goes in the future, but we haven't engaged in any specific discussions, and we know that there's a timetable on it. 5 days after the World Series, he'll let us know of his decision.
Have you compiled in your early stages of due diligence, have you compiled a list of potential candidates? Can you say maybe how many might be on that, and is there a preference list that you're working from? And I've got a follow-up if you don't mind.
Sure. So we've absolutely compiled a list of potential candidates, and we've compiled a lot of research on those potential candidates. Given the rules in Major League Baseball, I'm not going to obviously comment on any names or organizations, but we've compiled lists, and we've started to discuss different names. We have not. I want to offer up some more clarification or information. I think John and Tom mentioned this Friday, but we have not contacted any organizations for permission to speak to any candidates as of this morning.
And John and Tom had mentioned how difficult it is sometimes for lateral movement within the game for executives, how few times that's happened. You were on the, if you will, losing end of somebody leaving, but it's rare. How do you approach the notion of trying to hire somebody at a comparable position elsewhere, given how careful you have to be in dealing with other teams' employees?
Yeah, it's. I think it's a really good point that John and Tom made on Friday, and it gets lost on us sometimes that typically sitting number one heads of baseball operations or general managers do not go from a number one job to another number one job simply because they are all under contract and would require permission and potentially compensation. So as you point out, dating all the way back to 2002, I can only recall two situations where that happened. Theo leaving here in 2011 to the Cubs, and I'll just throw a personal note out there. I'm not sure we were on the losing end. It was fine to let Theo go. I'm just kidding. And we did pretty well in the wake of his departure, and he knows that. Yeah, I know. And then the other example is Andrew Friedman going from the Rays out to the Dodgers. Typically what you see in baseball and probably in other sports is a number two from another organization coming in, or a number two from your own organization coming in. We had a very clear and defined succession plan here. Been here 18 years. Larry Lucchino was our CEO for many, many years, and we had a succession plan where I was fortunate enough to take over for him. We've had a lot of success with succession internally. If you think about Theo was here internally, was director of baseball ops, became general manager. Ben was here as an assistant general manager, became the number one. So two examples where you had internal promotions that led to a period of success, including World Series championships. We've also had success going outside the organization. We went outside the organization to bring in Dave Dombrowski. We won 3 divisions. We won a World Series title. So that's why we're taking so much time and hopefully being strategic and thoughtful about what the right answer is now as we go forward.
Hi, Sam.
Hey, Alex.
2 questions. First, as you said, 84 wins, not the goal. You're coming off of that season, discussing the possibility of shedding payroll, which would necessitate parting ways with members of the current roster. How do you make the case that you can improve on this year's results if you're doing that?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, and I think if you look just back in near-term results, I think we've proved that you can have the highest payroll in baseball and you can win a World Series, and you can have the highest payroll in baseball and you can win 84 games and finish out of postseason competition. There is a correlation to spending and winning, clearly. Since 2002, we've invested more into player payroll than any other team than the New York Yankees, I believe. And we've have the highest winning percentage in baseball during that same period other than the New York Yankees. So there is a correlation to winning. However, as I mentioned before, we've also had success in years where we've come under the CBT, and we've had success going over. So at the end of the day, it's about the players that you put out there. It's about health. It's about great management and leadership from the staff. We have some real talent in that clubhouse as we turn the page to 2020. We also have a very creative baseball operations department. So we're very confident about what lies ahead for the Red Sox, but we do have some challenging and difficult decisions, and our fans are smart, and they know that. They'll be watching our every move very carefully, as they should, and we'll be able to, I think, put a great product out on the field in 2020 and beyond, given that John and Tom have been consistent about giving us the resources we need to be competitive going back to the very first day we got here.
And the one follow-up is, as there is this conversation about the possibility, not the mandate, of getting under the luxury tax threshold, given that you have robust revenues, perennially, what is the argument in favor of making that a goal in its own right, given that it could work, it could operate at the detriment of competitiveness?
Yeah, good question. So there's one argument, there's a strategic argument as you look out for the next couple years that getting under the CBT could help you because of the financial penalties, but also the baseball penalties, where you pick in the draft, and some other penalties that can hurt you if you stay over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in a row. But there may be strategic reasons, specifically this offseason, to be over that we might not be aware of yet. What's so great about working for the Red Sox, and specifically working for John Henry and Tom Werner, is their willingness to attack each offseason on its own merits. Yes, we factor in what that may mean for 2, 3, 4, 5 years out, but there is a willingness and a flexibility to consider moves as they come up. The markets can be very unpredictable in baseball in the offseason, and I would anticipate that there may be some opportunities out there that we haven't seen yet, or we haven't even contemplated. And with BOH and Eddie and Zach and Raquel, we're going to be, we hope, well-positioned to attack those opportunities and present them to ownership as we go forward. So the truth is, we don't know what the market's going to look like. But there are strategic and financial reasons, to be sure, to get under and to reset. It helped us when we got under and reset in 17 to be able to be very aggressive in 18 and 19. That's proven, and it worked. We won a World Series championship. So we'll have to see what the next several weeks bring, but I'm confident in the group that we have looking at all those decisions, and they'll come to us with their recommendations.
Hey, Sam. Two quick questions for you. The first one is, you talked about you want to have a seat at the table now with whoever comes in as the new GM. You want to be part of those decision-making processes. Was that something that you've been participating in while Dave was here? Because I thought there was clarification when Dave came in that you guys were going to be two separate entities.
Yeah, I think that's, I'm glad you asked that, because it's definitely a misperception that Dave and I didn't work closely together or get along. I even read we worked very closely together, and he would come to me and to John and to Tom with his player personnel recommendations and the thinking around different player moves. So I had the good fortune of being a part of those discussions decisions from day one. He did make it very clear that when he arrived, he would make the day-to-day player personnel decisions, which he did, and did a great job. But I want to make it very, very clear that decisions involving certain amounts of financial commitments or long-term decisions that face the franchise, John, Tom, and I worked together to give Dave feedback and authorization and approval on player personnel moves. And I look at it as we were a good team and collaborated very well together as we attacked those decisions as an organization.
And then the follow-up is looking back at last offseason when you began, John said you kind of knew that you guys wanted to get under the CBT this year. Knowing that, how much hesitation was there at the time then to go sign Evaldi and extend Sale and Bogarts and add all that payroll, knowing that you'd have to cut back?
Yeah, well, it's always difficult when you're signing up for a long-term financial commitment, especially like the ones we made last off-season, knowing that there would be a goal of potentially getting under the CBT in 2020. But we did it, and we went along with those recommendations and decisions. And I think a lot of those players that you mentioned will contribute to what we hope will be a very, very competitive 2020 team and beyond. But you do have to take those. We take those decisions very seriously and spend a lot of work in analyzing them. And but we try as an ownership group to follow the recommendations of the experts that are in their different jobs, whether it's the head of baseball operations or the head of finance or the head of sales and marketing. That's what good organizations do, and that's what John and Tom have done, not only here in Boston with the Red Sox, but with Liverpool Football Club, with Nesson, with the other businesses that they own, and it served them very, very well in their 18 years in Boston.
How the payroll stands already, in 2020. I mean, yeah, in 2020 with, guaranteed contracts, pre-arbitration, arbitration contracts. Do you think you'll Mookie Betts and JD Martinez will on the team next year, that you'll be able to sand it too early?
Yes, there's a way. There is a way, but obviously it will be difficult given the nature of the agreements and the contracts that we have in place. So, look, we have a very targeted and strategic plan that we're building right now. Some of the dates related to contract decisions come right after the World Series. So we've had some time in September to focus on the off season, given where we were in the standings. So it is going to be a challenging off-season, but we're ready to attack it head-on and do everything we can to put a competitive team out there, not just for next year, but for 2021, 2022. I've talked a lot about this. Our job in management and in ownership is to work with this fundamental misalignment of interest that you have between short-term and long-term decision-making. Our job is to balance those two things, and it's difficult. So it's a difficult challenge to get to that stated goal, but that's also why it's not a mandate.
In 2017, you guys were able to stay under the CBT because you didn't replace, David Ortiz or, DH, like Edwin Encarnacion on the market and everything. So, if JD Martinez does opt out, would you pursue him or an equal DH?
I wouldn't want to comment about what we would or wouldn't do with respect to opt-outs or anything like that, just given that the truth is we don't know at this point.
Sam, just kind of a follow-up on that about the organization's view of Mookie Betts and the challenge that lies ahead as to whether or not he wants to test the free agent market. How, just a general thought on how far you might be willing to go, and do you consider him a franchise, once-in-a-lifetime type of player?
Absolutely. Mookie, I've said it many, many times, but we absolutely love Mookie Betts as a player, as a person, gotten to know his family. You hope that he's a guy that is here for the long term. And so Tom Werner made it clear that we've engaged with some frequency with his representatives in years past. We met with them recently. He's got very, very, very smart and shrewd representation. And so we'll continue to talk and see where we go. But Mookie is just an incredible, reigning MVP. And has been an incredible member of the Red Sox and represents what you want in a baseball operations organization. Draft a guy, I think in the 5th round, develop him through your system, and then he comes up and contributes at the major league level and contributes to a championship culture. It's pretty special. He's a very special guy.
Sam, good morning.
Good morning.
You mentioned 2017 and obviously going under the CBT, and that was a time where a lot of these young players came through, and with that, you had some cheap contracts on the books and some great talent. Given where your farm system was at the start of this year and where it is now, is it fair to anticipate a similar wave of young talent coming through, whether it be next year or the year after?
Yeah, we've since 2002, since we've been here, we've recognized, I think, that the great organizations focus on minor league success in terms of drafting well and developing well. So that will be part of our formula as we go forward, as it has been since 2002. And you're going to have periods in your organization's history where the farm system may have a much higher ranking according to Baseball America or other resources out there, and you'll have periods where it's down, and you have to make here lies the short-term, long-term issue. We've made some decisions over the past several years to trade away some prospects to get players that were ready to contribute to a championship in 2018. But it's our job to do both. And I can tell you there is a tireless group of men and women in baseball operations who are working towards replenishing that system, developing the people we have in that system, and that always will be a part of the Red Sox way. That's what, frankly, has delivered 4 World Series championships since we've been here.
Hey, Sam.
Julian.
You said that it's a goal, not a mandate, to get under the CBT. But with someone like Mookie, would it be safe to say that you guys would go over with him with a person like that? Was it or bend a little bit with that in that case?
Yeah, we'll have to see what the future brings. I don't mean to be vague or evasive, but the truth is I don't know where things are going to end up with Mookie. We're going to continue to have conversations, and again, it's been a privilege to be a part of an organization where Mookie Betts has been the face of our franchise, one of the faces of our franchise, and he's just such a quality guy, and we're so appreciative of everything that he's done, and hopefully we'll continue to do as we go forward. We'll see what this offseason brings, and we'll see what next year brings.
We've seen a lot of guys in the last couple of years sign extensions, a lot of stars, and then even here, it seems like everybody always says, I want to be a Red Sox for life and everything. It seems like he takes a more business-like approach and takes the emotion out of it. Is that frustrating on your end? Is it unique, or how do you kind of view that?
It's not frustrating because I think it speaks to Mookie's confidence and how special a player he is. I mean, he does love it here. He's told me he loves it here. He's told Raquel Ferreira he loves it here. He's told AC that he loves it here. And you can see the joy and energy and enthusiasm in which he approaches playing baseball at Fenway Park. Our fans love him. I think what what Mookie has done is he's just made it clear that his agents, his representatives, are going to handle the business side of things, and he'll just keep doing his thing. And doing his thing has been pretty good for the Red Sox. So yeah, it takes a special player to specifically answer your question, to play and have success in Boston. And Mookie has been that special player, and he's had success in Boston, and we're grateful for it.
Sam, are there any candidates who are not employed by major league teams at this point?
Good question. I don't believe so, but that doesn't mean there aren't, given we're early days. We haven't had any interviews or formal or even informal conversations with candidates who are not in Major League Baseball, but I want to be clear, we're not ruling anything out at this stage. It really, truly is early days.
Given the stated goal to try to get under the CBT and some of the long-term commitments you have and possible big increases either through arbitration or potential free agents, have you discussed the possibility of moving some of the contracts and taking some of the money back to make those trades more palatable and reduce your payroll to give you freedom to do other things?
We've started those discussions. There's been a lot of creative ideas bandied about, and we'll continue to have those discussions as we get into the off season. There is no lack of creativity within that baseball operations group, and there is enthusiasm and energy to attack the off season, is the way I would put it. We've all been here a long time, everyone I've mentioned in the baseball operations group, and so the only positive about knowing that you're not going to be playing in the postseason is it does give you a head start on the off-season planning. And Eddie and BOH and Alex and I were talking after the game yesterday in Alex's office about some planning and strategy as we go forward here. It's hours after the last game, and we're now really turning the page to 2020.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.